Are we?
Yeah.
Are we?
Yes, we are. I just started the recording.
All right.
You're not going to do the Mr. Show skit, are
I wasn't
you?
doing the Mr. Show skit.
Sounded like you were going to do the Mr. Show skit.
No, I was just being a dick at the start of the podcast. All right. You are listening to Alternating with Eric, hopefully with less echo this time. Sorry, our acoustics in this room is a little bit weird sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So previous listeners will know about that. Okay. But I am Connor. I'm a musician, and I am a bit of a geek, and we review anime and some other stuff. And actually, I'll introduce my guest as always, my co-host, the man with the title in his name, Eric.
Yes, hi, this is Eric. I'm the guy with the title in the name. But yes, I do take over sometimes to do things and
annoy play by yourself.
Yeah, and also annoy the hell out of Connor because I know some of the things I show him or introduce him to annoy him so much.
All right. So Eric, tell us what are your credentials? I'm a musician, a bit of a soundie, a bit of a geek. What are you, Eric?
There's a long list, but we'll keep to the original titles that I've had, which are Russian martial artist?
Yep,
that's the one. Let's go with that one. That's yeah. Russian is what I had to tell people when they couldn't remember where I was from. Martial artist is self-explanatory.
Yeah. At some point, you've got to just insert some random Russian in there, just for as proof.
I'll do it in the new year
because as we've talked about, and maybe some of our viewers will notice this. Eric only has a slight bit of Russian, at least I think, in there. I mean, I mix this, so I hear Eric's voice. I've heard everything. I don't mean that to sound creepy. I just have, because I've had to fucking mix this.
Well, see, I get a different answer from you. Like, when originally you used to tell me that I had a New York accent.
I think you do. I think you have a New York accent with a slight hint of a Russian accent.
Where on earth does the New York accent actually come from?
New York.
No. Where do you think I would have gotten it? Because
you said you learned from American movies. And so what I assume is you've learned from like New York style American movies, because you do some of the words you say and like the speed you say, I don't know, reminds me of like a New York style accent. But then you also have like really harsh vowel sounds occasionally on certain words, which is more of a Russian thing.
It doesn't help that I used to also work in a pizza shop, so
I mean, you've probably like been Kiwiified now. I'd say like you're probably like most viewers are just like, what? He just sounds kind of Kiwi to me. But seriously, when I first met Eric, it was like, I don't know, like you could mistake him a little bit for American, but there's also like a hint of Russian in there just for good.
There's basically New York, American, Canadian, and a bit of Kiwi. Nobody really can get my
Canadian, not in the slightest.
Do you?
No, not in the slightest.
I've been told that I sound Canadian sometimes.
I lived with a half Canadian flatmate for like for free for year and a half. So. And I've also, had a couple Canadian friends, and you don't sound Canadian to me in the slightest.
I don't know. Then maybe some people.
I think that's just some New Zealanders not knowing the difference between a Canadian accent and an American accent.
Does that make you angry, Connor?
No.
Does that make you angry?
No, because I've even got it mixed up. Toronto can sound the Toronto accent, and I'm going to get letters and complaints about this, but I reckon the Toronto accent and the Los Angeles accent do have some similarities. Not saying they're exactly the same, but they do have some similarities here and there that,
Toronto and Los Angeles. Is it? No, okay.
So I'm not going to do a Toronto accent because I would, if I was doing a Canadian accent, it would just be like a generic, like, oh no, sorry, no, no, that would be my generic like Canadian. but Los Angeles, like. That sort of like stoner kind of like, or George kind of like, it's kind of like that low down sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it.
And you take your time, it's like that kind of thing.
Oh.
I'm gonna stop doing this because there's probably some American listeners who are like cringing at my accents. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be laughing about it.
We did have at one point some American listeners. They've gone now, I think, but whatever. We've got a listener in France, but we're not going to do anything in French.
Oh, that's actually
other than Rose of Versailles.
That's even better. The French love to mock the Americans.
Yeah. But we're not gonna make fun of anything French on here because we've only got one French listener.
We're not.
And we don't want to lose them. I know you Russians. Oh no. You guys didn't fuck them over. You were kind of fine.
There was I can't even remember any instances of Russian.
Anything, the British,
French,
and everybody else, mostly my people.
Yeah, this makes it worse for you. Now, if we had some Ukrainian, Polish listeners, I'd be a little bit worried.
Yeah. That's. I know some people from the Ukraine, but I'll tell them to listen to the podcast.
Whatever you do, don't tell them my address.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to announce. So we started this podcast. So this is a Christmas episode, and it's what we call a special, where we basically we dedicate like a podcast to. We always dedicate it to like studying for something but what we dedicate it kind of like to like a very special theme, and I know I know I'm saying that, and we've done themes to the other podcast too, but what I mean is like if it's a Halloween and we're doing a special, it means we're gonna do strictly like we're gonna change it up. It might not be one singular review for something. It might not be like a manga and an anime review, which is what we usually do. What it means is we'll change the format up, and we'll do like something special because it's that thing. And what we're gonna do now with this is we've decided that specials will also be when Eric, as a martial artist, gets to come on here and talk about like a certain martial art, and we talk about it being used in different forms of media, including anime and manga and lots of other geeky shit. Because I think me and Eric talked this over, and I've kind of decided this too. We have been in and out in terms of our anime watching stuff, and
unfortunately, yes,
we're not necessarily. If you do listen to this and you mostly like our anime content, it's not that we won't ever do that again. We will do that a couple times we will still do a bit of that in our reviews. It just means we might widen the content a little bit more. We're going to still keep it very geeky, and it's mostly going to be within what we usually talk about, so like music and martial arts, that sort of thing. But the difference now is that we might, I don't know, review like a Marvel cartoon or something, or like a DC, or as I said, we might talk about Eric's a martial artist, like a professional one, so we might have him talk about a martial art, and give his expertise and talk about how it's used, and I'll, as just a fan of it, will talk about how it's been used.
We'll come back with that definition of professional at a later time, because sometimes even I don't know what that means.
And then you've been in fights, you've proper fights for tournaments and stuff. You have a what would be considered a black belt, basically. You teach students. I think you qualify. And then I've been a musician for multiple years, and I was thinking of how I could use sort of what I market myself as, other than just occasionally talking about sound design and stuff, which we will still talk about in terms of review stuff because I have a degree in that. But I've been a musician, and I have kind of I'm geeky for like musical instruments like types of guitars and pianos and stuff, the same way people are for cars. And I know a little bit about that stuff. I worked in like a music shop for a bit. So we're also on some specials going to talk about how how like, you know, a Les Paul has been used in certain geeky stuff as well. Sorry if this is really complicated. Basically, what's going to happen is 1 week we're going to do a review. 1 week we're going to do a Let's Play because that's always fun to do. 1 week we're going to do a special, and then we're going to do like a review again. And that'll be the schedule that we're going to do. And basically, it's just going to be a little bit more wider, a bit more spontaneous because I don't want us to get really tired of this. I know the review thing of just reviewing stuff on podcasts has been like, there's so many people that do it. So we do want to kind of do something a bit different with it and maybe try some things out, you know, just experiment. I mean, we know we have a couple listeners who've been listening for a while, and we know we have a couple people that have just stopped listening. So I figure we can try out some things, and if you like it, let us know. If you don't, you know, let us know as well. Yeah. We do have a Facebook page. Eric, can you let them know what the Facebook page is?
Alternating with Eric.
So you can message us on that, I'm pretty sure. Or you can message me at insertcast.co.nz if you need to message anything.
Yeah, that's a big surprise. I just realized we now have a website.
No, we don't have a website yet.
We don't? Oh, okay, then never mind.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that. So we are going to have a website. We have done a final Pokemon Let's Play of Pokemon Fire Red. That's going to be the last one we do for a while. I'm pretty sure Eric's keen to do another one. But I said...
Honestly, because that, you know, I forgot how easy the grinding is in the Pokemon games. Like, it's genuinely the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
It is. But it's a bit of a long game to play. So, and Christmas is coming up. So we're taking a long break for December. So me and Eric can have some Christmas family time. I'm just being honest. That's honestly why we're taking a break. I need to see my dad. I need to see my folks, you know. I need to be doing something other than this for a bit.
I think anyone,
and I think everybody else is having Christmas as well. So you know, I don't know. Maybe you're going to be turning this on Christmas Day and listening to it. But I don't think I'm going to be. So I figure we're taking a break for Christmas, and we'll come back sometime in January, and we're going to keep continuing this. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. And yeah, I'm gonna let Eric talk because I'm running out of breath a bit here.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. Obviously, after we've taken our breaks, visiting our family, listening to all the crazy stories they'll share with us, including, I believe, the time my cousins managed to get up before 4:00 at night. Wow. But when we come back, as Connor said, we will be breaking our
usual
podcast.
Schedule.
Our usual schedule down in a more structured manner. So I think what I'm hoping to do is kind of also include some, not only Let's Plays for Pokemon Fire Red, but also Let's Plays for games that are anime related, as well as games that me and Connor like. So games basically where, and maybe even games where we just pick a genre that we are clearly not good at and then trying it out. So let's just break the ice with that one. Clearly, as Connor has told me multiple times, his genre of gaming he doesn't like and he's not good at is shooting.
Oh, I don't hate them. I'm just shit at them.
Well,
I can't play Call of Duty for shit.
Well, that's fine, but I'll let our audience know that
I can play GoldenEye.
But I'll let our audience know that for me, it's horror and survival horror games. Not that I don't like them, I really do like them.
Yeah,
I am just extremely shit at them.
We have unsuccessfully recorded a Let's Play of Eric playing Silent Hill 3.
Look,
and within the first couple minutes, Eric was like, "This is really scary. I don't know if I can take."
No. Let me clarify something. I didn't think it was scary.
You did a little bit.
Look, it was only scary.
I got nothing. There's parts of it that I figure are a bit scary.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with that game, I just needed some, much needed direction on where to go because I can't.
Which I was doing.
Yes, and I was still taking it on board, but it was still a horror game, in which case I do believe it was just terrifying as hell. But I still enjoyed Silent Hill 3, so we might actually come back to that one later.
I wouldn't mind doing all three of them, but the problem we would like to play some PS2 games, but there is a way we know we can do it, but it's going to cost us a bit of money to buy something to hook our TV up and play it that way. I mean, if someone knows a way, I know people are going to say, "Why don't you just get an emulation or something?" The problem with that is it's big files. It's a lot of data you've got to crash. I already have a copy of Silent Hill 2 that we could easily play if we just had a way to hook it up to the TV and do a Let's Play recording. And of course, I have a PC copy of 3 that we've played through. And then one's the only game I don't mind playing on emulation. That's the one of the few ones that I don't mind doing on emulation. I know these games have kind of been done already like multiple times, but they're fun games. But
they are more fun, especially with people who are genuinely scared or need direction on how to actually survive.
You just talk about yourself now.
Look, I just want to clear that out of the way, okay? I will admit that I do get scared at horror games sometimes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It makes it more fun for us.
Yeah.
It's fun because I find parts of it scary, but I find those games more scary when I'm playing them by myself. And so if I'm with someone, it's not that scary for me. But it didn't help the fact that when we played it, maybe I'll be nice this time and I'll put a headphone on as well. So, because when we played it, it was just me, no headphones on. Eric got the headphones on, so he gets all the scary music. And all the sound design.
Scary music.
And Eric is more affected. I see, since I've played these games so much as well, they don't scare me as much anymore. But Eric was playing it for the first time. So, of course, he's like, what the fuck is that thing? What the fuck is that thing?
Well, that was my question to genuinely what the fuck was that thing?
Yeah.
Because there are some monsters in Silent Hill 3 that I really had to question the design of, and also ask.
I should really two is some interesting monster designs as well.
But in any case, that's going to be our schedule for the new year, and we hope to continue with only breaking any part of that schedule for when something big happens, like say Armageddon Expo, or we take a trip.
Well, if we do that, then that'll be a special.
Yeah.
The special is reserved for like. And also, so if anyone is like, why are you suddenly doing this? Why are you making all these changes? Why are you going to keep changing the routine of your show every week? Well, I realized that we named this show Alternating with Eric. And when we started this show, we didn't actually review anime. The first episode of this that had me on it was called Alternating Slothcast first. And it was just me talking about stuff I do in my week. And then we brought Eric on. And every time we had, in the first episode we had Eric on, was just talking about convention stuff. I think anime and manga was mentioned, obviously, because it's us. But we mostly just talked about our convention experience. And so I feel, it's called Alternating with Eric. We could easily, swap out what we do every week.
Yeah.
We could even swap out guests. I can not be on one week and Eric can have someone else on. It's just has to have him in it mainly. We are going to have maybe one or two other guests on. We did have Chung on one week and he wants to be on again. So
yeah. Well, he'll only come on if you contact him because he seems to be ignoring me. Whenever I try to call or text him.
Don't make Eric feel like a bloody jaded ex-boyfriend or something. Give him a call.
Oi, curb your sarcasm, please. Sorry, curb your sass.
All right. So now that we've got business out of the way, this is a Christmas special. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Eric, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to this week?
Yeah,
I've basically gone to a Christmas dinner with my team, where we handed each other Christmas presents.
Okay, sorry, you're going to have to preference your team. So you're talking about your martial arts team.
Sorry, no, my government work team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's
I
that.
see.
So we went to a dinner to a place called Wilson's Barbecue, which is literally down the street from where I live.
Yeah.
It's on the main road in Johnsonville.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we went there.
Johnsonville's a little bit outside of Wellington for our international listeners.
Yeah, by a little bit, he means basically a harbor and a couple of bridges away.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, we went there and had a bit of an eat. Could I review Wilson's Barbecue a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bit pricey for what we were given, so maybe I won't go back there.
What are the pros and cons, Eric?
Pros, good stuff. Everyone was friendly. It was great to see.
Yeah.
Cons, food was bad. Well, at least what did I have? The brisket that I had was But anyway, so we were kind of handing each other presents, and I got myself a couple of toy eggs. But these ones like stress balls, so you squeeze them. And then you have this like little elastic bubble inside them that pops out. It's filled with liquid. And there's an animal inside, and it just floats around in it. And I was given this present because, one, I forgot to tell everyone 3 things I'd like for Christmas. We were doing that with our team. And 2, because I'm the guy who helps deliver eggs to people in my workplace. It's a long story. I won't bore you with it, but basically that's what my week's been.
So Eric's admitted that he's part bird and he's delivering.
And Connor's admitting to being the biggest smartass I've known.
Yeah.
Still. Anyway, but that's been my week.
Anything else? What have you been watching? Gaming?
Ooh, well,
you're a big ass geek. What have you been doing?
I have not been watching any anime, unfortunately. But I have been reading some manga, at least. I've come across one, which is, I think it was called Momo the Vampire Taker. It's a vampire manga, obviously, but it's got an interesting vampire designs in it. Actually, forgoing the old Dracula, old Dracula designs, and instead turning the vampires into these, sometimes massive, horrific monsters. Like they still have.
That's not what I would expect. When you said the title Momo something, I was picturing like
a
very
moe
cutesy 90s like moe, like giant eyes sort of thing.
Kind of. That's what one of the characters is like. Everyone else is basically portrayed more as a modern decent adult.
Okay.
But
these are like really ugly, like monstrous type vampires.
Oh hell yeah!
There's a Lost Boys sort of
thing. There's a main villain in this who's nicknamed Two Faces, and that's because he literally is a vampire with 2 faces.
Okay.
So
what, like a split face, like Two-Face from Batman, or like he has 2 heads?
Junji Ito's Tomo, basically.
So he's got like one face kind of like coming out, another face coming out.
Kind of like that. Yep. That's pretty much one of the horrific designs, and I like it because some
good head.
Huh? Oh, just go.
And that is the most juvenile joke I'll make tonight.
I'll say, and I'm supposed to be the one doing those.
All right, Eric.
But in any case, the story so far is pretty generic. The only reason I'm kind of reading through is because the vampire designs, how it's all pictured and how they operate is quite interesting. This is kind of like these seem like boring, overpowered vampires, mostly because they, they have no, they have no weakness to sunlight, no weakness to, stabbing and, in a heart with spike, or weakness to garlic. But they can still be killed by other conventional means, which is still really good. So it's like they're hiding from the human world and keeping their society secret, because obviously them knowing that they could be killed by conventional means, despite being horrific, overpowered monsters, is still rather interesting because they know the rules. Some of these vampires know the rules. But in this story, it seems the rules are changing, so I'm rather interested to see how this would play out. And yeah, that's pretty much been what my reading of it. Other than that, I've also been reading other Chinese mangas, which basically follow the same premise
Wait, that was a Chinese manga?
No, this was a Japanese manga. But alongside that, I've been reading Chinese mangas because some of them are interesting and others are like, okay, is this something different? Is this something different? Is this something different?
Is that manhua? Is that what they're called? Manhua? Manhua. All right.
Yeah. Almost like you're trying to say Juan, the Mexican Juan. Juan. Manhua. But of course, the Korean one is manhwa.
Yeah, that's why I was getting a bit confused.
Yeah, so that's pretty much been me this week. What about you?
I'm now curious. What Chinese manga have you been reading? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, Peerless Dad.
Okay, can you say something more than just the title? Like what are these about? Elaborate, Eric. You're on a podcast.
So what this is about is a dad who literally is trying to be the greatest martial artist in the world after his wife dies from delivering triplets. So
Shit.
Yeah, it starts off pretty dark.
Wait, she dies from delivering triplets, or is this like, I'm not trying to be racist here, but is this like the China thing where they killed off all the kids, like,
No, she
wasn't that thing that was it wasn't that sort of era.
No, it was one of those situations where the delivery of the baby was too much for the mother. It's just one of those situations. So, yeah, one is, a mother dying from, delivering one baby is sad enough. Yeah. Delivering 3 was like, wow.
Did the kids live? Or
the kids lived. The kids all lived.
So he's got triplets as well.
Yeah, so he's got triplets. And now he's basically now on a journey to try and, achieve some notoriety and get money and be able to help take care of his 3 kids. Mm. And so he's on a quest now to try and join this clan of fighters to be able to do so. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I stopped. So far, it's got a pretty decent premise. It's got a pretty decent character. And yeah, I mean, I'll let you know how much further I can get ahead of it. But so far, that's what I got from it.
Cool. So I've been trying to think of... So I wish I could say I've been reading some new stuff. I've been busy the last 2 weeks because I've just been gigging so much like crazy. I've been going out to different venues and practicing different stuff. And I'm, of course, in a new place. Some of you guys may have heard I moved house recently. So I got a nice bookcase now, Eric saw. And all my manga was just out, spread out there. So
I have to be honest. I paid less attention to the bookcase and more attention to the collection of mangas.
Yeah.
Speaks to the nerdiness I have at the moment.
See, the thing is that I know about myself is I like having a bookcase the same way probably Eric does. I didn't want to do it at first because it's kind of like if anyone walks in who doesn't really know that much about you, the first thing they're going to see is all your fucking manga like on the shelf. But then the other thing too is like if I know I have these all on boxes, which I sometimes do, and I did when I was living at one other place down south. When you do that, like you tend to just you tend to like forget that it's there, or you tend to actually like look and read it. Which in this situation, like having them all spread out, like sometimes I would just go up and be like, "Oh, I have all these volumes." I'll just count for like all the stuff I've got, being the nerdy me. But sometimes, but having them there like just made me be like, "Oh, I haven't read this in a while," or "Oh, I've read this. I wouldn't mind, going back and seeing how this is," or wouldn't mind seeing if this is like, because it was in a box for a while. I kind of looked and I was like, oh, I hope it's still in good condition. So I went for a couple of my things because there's some books I haven't gotten rid of either. Like, I don't know about Eric's book collection here because I'm looking right in front. He's got a massive book collection right in front of me, like a bookshelf.
I have no regrets.
Oh, no. I'm not judging you, but I'm curious if, like me, you still have some books from like when you're a teenager.
Oh, hell yeah.
When you're a kid, like on that bookshelf.
Yeah. That's definitely the case.
Like, do you have Del Toro Quest in there or anything like that sort of stuff?
Oh, I lost all those books, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes,
I know you do like Del Toro Quest, and that
yes, I actually have the Lost of the entire of the Lost series before finished.
So you don't have the first couple volumes? Is that what you're saying?
No. So the Del Toro Quest breaks down into 3 series. I only have the books for the.
But what I'm trying to say is you're kind of like me, where you look at my book collection and you'd think there's like if you have any kind of OCD and you look at my bookshelf, you'd go nuts. Because I have like lots of stuff. I have one section of like manga, and Eric can have seen this, where it's all just stuff. It's just either like it's like 3 number 1s, and then it's just a bunch of like random volumes that are like different numbers. So I have like volume 6, volume 5, volume 8, and it's because like I've bought these volumes out of like a bargain bin at conventions, thinking, I'll be able to like find the other one, and
Wait,
then not being able to
bargain
find
bins
the
at
other
conventions? Why have I not seen those?
You don't remember like when you go through like the old Tokyo Pop bargain bins at like a convention, you're looking for a manga, and you find like volume 8 of Shaman King or something, or volume 9 of like One Piece, and you're like, I'll buy this. They'll probably have volume.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's great. Like you buy it and they're in good condition, and they're like $5. But the shitty thing is, you don't end up getting volume 1. And I had a friend come over recently, because the one thing I do have in my collection that I have like most of the volumes of, up to a certain point. I'm missing a couple for like 20 something else. But I have most of Gantz. As Eric's seen. I don't have all of it.
You are a big fan of Gantz.
I am. It's one of my favorite mangas. I know there's some issues with it. I'm not going to lie. And I know it's not the nicest to woman in some ways. I'm not I'm not disagreeing with that. But I like the character arc and some of the art and stuff. But we're not reviewing Gantz here. But I wanted to talk about Gantz because I have like all of the volumes. I have quite a few of the volumes. I don't have every single one. I have up to 30 something, and it's 37 volumes. And
I gave you one of those volumes, didn't I?
Yeah,
like volume 35 or something.
You bought me one. So
I can't remember which one I bought.
So you bought me like 35 or something. So the problem is when people, if they looked at my when my friend looked at my shelf, he was like, how much? He looked at my bookshelf and he's like, wow, you've got all these volumes. And I was like, yeah. If you looked at my manga collection, like the reason why I have so many volumes like out of place, like just one volume of one volume of 8, sometimes like a bit of a weird mixed collection of like volumes. It's because manga here in New Zealand is so fucking expensive sometimes. Like I have some Japanese volumes.
I managed to buy
and they're way cheaper than what you'd get.
I think
here.
I've managed to buy the most expensive manga volume I managed to buy was about $45.
What volume was that? A big issue, like a free? It
was the manga you recommended to me way back in the day.
Which one was that? You have to
Ninja Girls.
Ninja Girls.
Yes. Harem ecchi series that you recommended to me.
Jeez, what was wrong with me at that point in my life?
I do not know. I think you just needed time to be a little more sophisticated.
So I recommended that to you, and apparently it was $45. Holy shit! How big was the manga? Was it like, what the fuck? You pay the? I'm sorry, Eric did like the small symbol.
You were very convincing at the time to tell me that I would enjoy this.
Okay.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Jesus Christ, $45 for something that small. See, this is what we have to do. Like I bought lots of Gantz volumes. I love Gantz, and the print and stuff, and the image and stuff. But God damn it, Dark Horse, if you're listening to this, put the fucking price for Gantz down, or do like 3-in-1s for the same price for the singles at the moment, because Jesus Christ, I should not have to pay $35 or close to fucking 40 for a volume of Gantz. The volumes are not that big. They're like a little bit wider than most manga. That's the only thing. Like they're a little bit taller, like in the bookshelf. But like I bought another manga by the same author, Inuyashiki, which I've got all 3 volumes of that. I paid like 25 for that, show, and that's not cheap either. But I've got one of them that was like $20 from like a bargain bin. But that is like about how much I should be paying for Gantz if I have to pay a bit, like $20 at most. $35. I mean, you're lucky I like this manga, or else I wouldn't.
No,
much.
you didn't.
But this is why I'm missing certain volumes of my manga, because 25 and 35 is like the general price for some manga. Sometimes you get ripped off like Eric here, and you pay like $45 for a fucking tiny ass volume. But
yeah, you were very convincing at the time to tell me that.
But Eric, you get my point here.
Mm-hmm.
Manga is way too fucking expensive.
It is quite expensive. I think the only time I've managed to get anything cheap is during the
bargain bins.
Yeah, not the bargain bins, but the sales as well, like for newer manga. Yeah. Especially for ones that won't actually end up in the bargain bins either.
You're like me though. You also, I don't think, have any complete manga collections.
No, but I'm pretty okay with it.
I mean, I have almost close to 2 or 3, but it's sporadic. And as my point I was going to make here is, like Eric with his Del Toro Quest thing, I had these books I liked when I was a kid called I think they're called the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Hey.
They got made into kind of a bad movie, if I remember correctly. But I have the first volume, the third volume, and the fifth volume.
What?
Because I think my parents bought me 2 of them, and then they were just like, and then I read the other 2 at the library, I think. So I just asked them for the volume I wanted at the time. Same problem I have. I have Dragon, I think it's called something. It's by Caroline Wilkinson, I think's her name.
Dragon Rider?
No. So my volume is my volume is like called Garden of the Purple Dragon or something.
Okay, never mind. I have no idea.
It's a series of books. I think the first one's called Dragon Keeper, and it's about sort of Chinese mythology. This girl, and she's got a dragon, and it's really cool. The first volume.
Are you sure you weren't reading a Mulan knockoff?
No. It follows this young girl named Ping and her dragon, and they go on this kind of crazy adventure. And I think I didn't have the first book, because the first book is I listened to on audio cassette, like way back in the day. Yeah, I had like an audio tape of it that I listened to, like an audio book.
The first time I had an audio tape, it was for the Nutcracker.
Yeah, well, I had it for this one, and so I bought the second volume and read the second volume because they don't have an audio tape for it. So that's why I don't have the first volume, but I should have the first volume, but I don't. So yeah, I did a lot of reading of my books, even though they're out of place. I'm not OCD, but it did annoy me sometimes, because it was like I'm reading something and then it's I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of wish I could go back to volume 1 or volume 2 of this, or volume 3, but whatever. I might buy more manga in the future. It's just more of an incentive now. But I went and reread a bit of Gantz. I kind of knew what I was expecting, because I finally, Eric, I put it off for ages because I had heard good and bad things. I finally watched Gantz Zero, the Netflix CGI movie based on the Osaka arc.
That's right. How was it?
So it looks great. The CGI is actually really good. Like, I don't blame people for like, a lot of people that don't even know Gantz like gave it a go because the CG just looks really good. They did a lot of things in it that I was like, what the fuck? Why did like, they have the giant boob monster in there. I'm not kidding. There is a giant monster that's made out of like naked boob ladies. I know Eric's just said I really like this series, and I'm really embarrassed to say that because it has stupid things like this. But I kind of like how stupid and B movie it is sometimes. But this, I was surprised they did it in CGI and they kept most of the things the same. They changed certain points of the plot.
So it's Gantz Zero.
It's the Osaka arc. So if you've read Gantz, there's a part where they go. Gantz is basically people die. They get sent to this place. a giant ball opens up and it basically tells them they got to go hunt aliens. And they go and hunt aliens. And in one of the missions, the team from Tokyo, our main guys, get sent to Osaka where they've got to fight basically these like mythical demons like from Japan, basically a lot of yokai. And it's one of the coolest arcs, I'd say. I really like the dinosaur arc. They didn't animate that either.
Damn.
It's a really cool arc. That's like, see, these are the parts I like because you get to see a lot of the character arc and stuff. But they animated the Osaka portion, and there's parts of that are great. Parts of it are not as effective because that arc is really good because of everything else that happened in the previous 2 arcs. And without that stuff, it kind of doesn't have as much weight to it. They also, I think they removed one other character that kind of added depth to that arc, and they changed something at the end that kind of pissed me off a little bit. But other than that, it was fine. Honestly, going back and reading Gantz and then watching this, I did also reread Inuyashiki. And what I've got to say is Inuyashiki, I think, is actually... Gantz is probably one of my favorite mangas of all time, just because the character arc. But Inuyashiki, I will admit, is probably Oku Hiroya's best work. It's the most stable. It doesn't really have any problems in terms of if you want to introduce someone to his work, but you don't want to if they're a lady, you don't want them to be, if you're worried they're going to be offended by something, or if because Gantz is not for everyone, but Inuyashiki, I think it's a lot more accessible, and that's kind of what I like about it as well, because it's like he's calmed down a little bit with that one and just tried to go for a bit more of a straight story, because there's parts of his other mangas which is you were just horny and you wrote this. You were writing this with your dick, not your hand. All right, so
he could have been writing with his hand, just on a different sort of pen.
All right, Eric. So I've been reading that, and to get off Eric's bloody filthy discussions,
I have no regrets.
I did read a manga that we both liked because I own a couple Shonen Jump issues and I hadn't gone back and read those in ages. So I reread that, and that had Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds in it, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and surprisingly Rosario Vampire. I didn't remember that being in there. So Rosario Vampire 2, I think it was, the second season or whatever.
Oh,
I don't know. I read the first 3 volumes and then I didn't read anything after that.
Kind of me too. I found it rather boring.
Yeah.
Uninteresting.
Yeah, I found it was kind of like a fan servicey harem thing.
I think it's just the later parts kind of which provide a more in-depth story.
I read the second half. I don't know. I got a couple chuckles here or there. There was some parts that were kind of funny, but for the most part, it wasn't really meh. It was kind of meh. But I reread Bleach, the chapter that was in there, and all I took from it is it was nostalgic. I'll say I'm not probably the biggest Bleach fan anymore. I think me and Eric both aren't we like it, but I'm not saying we're not we're not going to go out and cosplay as much as we did back in the day. But I was reading it, and then I was remembering some stuff from the other movies and manga and stuff, and I was thinking, why isn't Bleach a courtroom drama with bloody every time they go to there's always something, and at least some of the arcs in the movies where someone is put on trial. You have the first big major arc in Bleach, once they get past the introduction section of the manga, is Rukia being captured and taken back to the Soul Society, which is this basically underworld type place, and she's put on trial. And then I was reading this recent chapter, and it's about Kisuke Urahara, who's this other character. He's kind of this Master Roshi type character, and it's about his past and how he's put on trial. And then there's a Bleach movie about one of the Soul Reapers and how he has ice powers, and there's another dude who has ice powers, and Soul Society can't have none of that crap. So both of them are put on trial. And I was just thinking, like, it would be. I was thinking, bloody, if you did a bloody a law like a like a Law and Order type thing with Bleach, it would be the most unfair like trial ever because no one has a fucking lawyer. It's more like British courts than like American courts. Although even fucking British courts and Japanese courts still have lawyers. But no, I was watching this and I was reading the manga and I was just like, why doesn't Kisuke have a lawyer?
Why is
Kisuke told to why is he,
Why does Kisuke even need a lawyer? Like, he's his own lawyer. He's
but you're supposed to, when you get arrested, they're supposed to say you have a right to an attorney and all that. I mean, that's more America, but still, you're supposed to kind of be given some sort of representation. And every single of these court dramas, there's never any there's no way to defend yourself. You're just sent to court, and then they just you can maybe state your answer to some questions they want to ask you, but it's basically an interrogation with you being sent somewhere. Yay. It's like the most corrupt, unfair courtroom ever.
I think we got a good idea of that. Just looking at how much of a civil war started once Rukia's execution.
You also realize rereading this, I also was like, oh, Aizen's been a dick for ages. It wasn't just in
Aizen has to be the coolest and smartest villain I've read in a manga for a while.
I think Tite Kubo, the author of Bleach, did set out just to make him the main villain, and then he just got really distracted by everything else and just kind of forgot that was his main villain for a while. And in the anime was like, well, since he's going on his own little thing, we're going to make some bounce for like a couple episodes until he sorts his shit out, Oh, Bleach. So, yeah. So I reread that. I reread those. I reread the Spiderwick Chronicles, which were easier than I remember. Going back and reading them, I was like, oh, these are not really simple books, and they've got pictures and stuff, but they were fun. And I understand why they're made for like 12 to 7 or whatever. Or 7 to 12 or whatever. But so I did that. I've been playing some games. So I have like basically finished Persona. I know every week I'm finishing Persona. I'm like, it's a long ass fucking game, guys. It's a long ass fucking game. And I basically bet Adachi, the main boss, on Persona 4 Golden. The only thing I haven't done is there's like a couple more social links to do. I'm not going for the fucking main like hardcore ending because I've gotten to the point now where I'm kind of sick of the game.
What's the main?
I am all
hardcore?
Persona 4 out.
What's the main hardcore ending?
So there's another like final boss, like after the main boss.
Oh.
But I'm not doing that because grinding in Persona. Sorry, just not doing any of that for a while. And as I said, I'm kind of like feeling done with it now. I'm feeling completely burnt out of it. So I've been playing Devil May Cry 3 again. I have that. Because I found my old like adapter from my PS2 controller into my PC. So been playing a bit of that. That's been fun. I've also been, just because I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! In my Shonen Jump thing, I was like, I wouldn't mind just trying out the card game again, even though like I didn't really enjoy the anime that much anymore now.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
But I thought I'd give it a go, and I saw on Steam that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Online game is free. It's completely free, so we might even do it as a Let's Play just for shits and giggles. So I played it. I, of course, picked my favorite character back in the day, Seto Kaiba.
He's an asshole.
Oh,
right?
That's why I loved him. He's still an asshole in this game. And I was playing as him, and it's so, oh my God. There was one part where I couldn't help but laugh, where there's like this little girl you're dueling with who's like, looks like she's probably like 12 or something. And Kaiba, you have options to just troll people the whole time while you're playing. And even if you don't, he's just like, your card was worthless. I am the victor. You are a loser. I'm like, Kaiba, that girl is 12. Get a hold of yourself. But Kaiba's like always a dick, no matter who it is. And his deck is all right. I don't know. It was interesting replaying the game. I got bored of it after a little bit, but it was all right. It was all right. It was kind of fun going back to it a little bit.
So how often did you have to play Blue Eyes White Dragon?
Not that often. Well, you get to choose your cards, and you
that was like that was one of the most iconic cards to use next to Dark Magician.
What happens is you pick a character, and then you get a deck. Mm-hmm. And I believe you can buy more cards and shit later on.
Oh.
But you get like Kaiba's deck, and you can, and of course you have Blue Eyes White Dragon. There's like Blue Eyes Ultra Dragon as well, which you can use later on. And yeah, you can use all the old cards, you know. There was a couple missing. I didn't know if they were in Kaiba's deck or someone else's deck, but you know, all the ones you remember, like Pot of Greed and things like that. That I was looking for those cards and I just couldn't find them. Maybe they're in someone else's deck.
They're banned. They're not allowed to be played.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, and Pot of Greed is on it because Pot of Greed is technically the most overpowered card in the game.
No, but the annoying thing is they give you Kaiba's deck in this game, and it has barely any fucking trap cards or spell cards. It's mostly monsters.
He's never really... I can't remember him playing that many trap cards.
It was kind of annoying because like I couldn't really do too much strategizing. It was more just like attack. So I don't know. I wasn't a major Yu-Gi-Oh player back in the day. I played it a little bit and I watched, of course, the TV show. So yeah.
All the temptation is coming forward just to play.
So that's what I've been.
Yeah.
That's what I've been up to. And since it's Christmas, guys, we did something. So on our very first, I think, major review for this show, we reviewed Claymore. And what we did for that is we did something that we don't usually do anymore. What we usually do now for watching like a show, we're going to review a show, is we watch it like the week before we review it, sometimes the night before we review it. We write a bunch of notes. We maybe do some like study on it, on stuff to do with the subject. We try and think about like ways we can maybe put like what we know about, you know, martial arts or music into it. Look at it that perspective. Maybe watch it more than once to sort of see if we can get something else from it. This time though, we did what we did with Claymore, where we just watched it right before we reviewed it. And so you guys, when we come back from the break, you're going to hear our review of this movie, this special Christmas movie called Tokyo Godfathers, directed by Satoshi Kon. We'll be right back after the break. So you
See you in a
guys
bit.
get to hear that. Cool. We are back from watching the movie, guys. Back for this review of Tokyo Godfathers. I'm Connor. This is Eric, and yeah, we're gonna get into this. So, Eric, let's talk about the plot of Tokyo Godfathers.
Best plot I have ever seen. Nah, it's a good story. It's a good story. Obviously,
Can you give us a brief synopsis? What's the
three homeless people find an abandoned baby and try and find its mother and bring it back to her. It's a simple story, but it's such a nice one as well. And I think the director and the story writers did really well with this one. And honestly, the the animation style, I'm just gonna put it out there. It just looks really good and amazing. Although, is it just me, or did the video file make it all look a bit dark? It was pretty dark, though. Like, I mean, like the lighting
video
and the
file. We watched this legally, Eric, on streaming. By the way, if it is on, was it on? We should next time see if it is on Crunchyroll. I just went because I had this downloaded like from a couple of years ago.
It should be on Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay. Well, next time we will watch this on Crunchyroll, or we'll watch something like this just to be, supportive or whatever. Which we always are. Yeah. No, I noticed that too. I think it might have just been it might have just been kind of dark at the time, like the color grade. It might just be your TV as well. Eric has a bit of a small TV. But, so, no offense. So, with this review, I wasn't almost going to do this because it has been reviewed a lot, this show. And I was a little bit worried that we wouldn't have anything new to say about it. But I've decided it's Christmas. We need a Christmas show. There are Christmas anime episodes, but I was like, no, we could pick our favorites, but there's not that many to choose from.
It is kind of hard, I've realized, to find an anime that's primarily based on
Well, there
Christmas.
is one, but we're not reviewing it.
Well, which one is it?
It's called I something Santa or something like that. It's done by the same guy that did Love Hina.
Never mind.
Which also has a Christmas special. I know this through Google.
Enough said.
So I decided on this one, even though it's been reviewed by a couple of different people. Mostly this review, though, I want to make this clear because there's a lot of other reviewers that'll get into all the background stuff and all the technical and meaning and all that. We're not going to really get into that as much. This is our Christmas episode. This is our special. This is going to be a bit more casual. Saying that, though, I will give a little bit of background information on this. So this is directed by Satoshi Kon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. There's a bunch of people that have I've heard so many different people pronounce his name different ways. I'm pretty sure it's Satoshi Kon. But I've also heard Satoshi Kon and a bunch of other different ways of pronouncing it. But I'm going to call him Satoshi Kon because that's the way I think it's pronounced. So write in your angry hate letters if that pisses you off. So he's directed, of course, a bunch of different things. Paranoia Agent, Perfect Blue, and then Paprika and Millennium Actress. Now, I have seen a couple of his works. I'm not a big fan of Millennium Actress. That's not really my thing. I find it a bit repetitive, and I don't really like the characters that much in that one. But
I've watched Paranoia Agent.
You've only seen Paranoia Agent.
But I can't even remember that very well. It must have been a long time ago that I watched it.
So I watched... I've seen a couple episodes of it, and I actually watched an episode of it not that long ago, just again recently, because there's one really good episode with a bunch of people in like a suicide group. It's which is a bit of it's a bit more. It has a bit more of a tone like this, where it's like three kind of outcasts, sort of going on like a mission, you could say. And that's, that's sort of, I like that a little bit more than some of his other works. This is my favorite of his, if I'm being honest. That's why sort of I picked it as well. Even though, it's been done, but it's my favorite of his. It's probably like the most straightforward out of all his works. It has have some sort of dreamlike sequences here and there. I think it has like 2 sort of dream sequences. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, and I kind of I like the humor in this. I like the tone. I like the characters. I think there's a lot to like about this, and it's done by Satoshi Kon. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well is this is animated by Madhouse, who you should know. They did Death Note. They did. I believe Ghost in the Shell, and then like a bunch of other really good stuff.
Now, here's the thing. Knowing who animated this and these 2 examples you gave, I think I would believe much more that you know, I'd believe Madhouse definitely did something like Ghost in the Shell more than Death Note, because when kind of comparing those two to what we just watched in terms of Godfathers, like the realism and movement of people's bodies and their faces,
I think Death Note's well animated.
But in terms of how realistic their facial movements are,
yeah, but you're going from the manga with that as well. So they were taking a lot from the mangas, you know. Different styles, different movements and stuff. It's different things to appreciate, I think. You know?
Yeah, it's just my opinion. Yeah. I just feel like I would believe closer to Ghost in the Shell than.
But that's the most probably well-known stuff. They've also done Ninja Scroll and a bunch of Kawajiri stuff like Wicked City and stuff like that. So you'd know them for that. They're probably one of my favorite animation studios. And the animation in this, as we mentioned, is really good. There's a lot of really good facial work, a lot of great like running sequences and stuff.
Oh, definitely. And especially just especially how these people's faces contort and show emotion.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like
it's quite well done, actually.
Quite twisting and turning the whole. Yeah. There's a couple of times where it was like really crazy, where it felt like the whole face was like almost melting and moving with like the eyes and.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very expressive. Very, very expressive. So,
I think especially with one of the characters, Hana, the facials on that character were really, really, well done. I think they put quite a lot of focus on it based on the character himself.
Yeah. So let's get into a couple of the characters. So we have, of course, Hana. Hana's a transgender woman who has sort of fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
She was in kind of a drag bar before, and she we find that out as we go on. I don't want to spoil too much of this because it's a good movie. Some people have seen this. Or maybe put a spoiler warning in later for any other stuff we will go into. But she's fallen on hard times and she's homeless now. And then we have another character who's a drunk. His name is Gin or Gin. Gin, yeah. He's a drunk. He's I won't get into this too much because it's a big spoiler. But he has a family that he's sort of had to leave because he's had some issues. And then we have this young girl who's we'll find out why she's sort of left her family and why she's living on the streets. And they're all, they find this baby at the start of the movie in the dump, and it's basically about them trying to figure out where they can get this baby to. What did you think of the characters? Did you have a favorite? Did you have a least favorite? What was the?
I definitely had a definitely Hana would have been my favorite character because he was just full of energy the whole time.
Yeah, she's quite a funny character.
Yeah, and actually it was kind of hard to choose between the three of them because there's Hana's energy, there's Ginbang the cynical bastard, because unfortunately I'm also a cynical bastard. And
I also noticed you were like looking at the beer and you're like, oh, that's a good one.
At the what?
You were looking at like all the beer he was drinking, and you're like, "Oh, that's a good choice."
That's the inner alcoholic in me going, "Yes." And then there's Miyuki, who's like, the child of the group, and the way she acts and the way she kind of, speaks to everyone, kind of, kind of also speaks to like an inner part of you, going, "Yeah, that kind of used to be me as well."
They are kind of like a family dynamic, which is interesting,
But of course, as we go on, we do get to see quite, how all three characters could be your potential favorite because, we get revealed each of their, pasts and what they did before and how they managed to get to where they are. Especially with Gin, who kind of keeps changing his story without actually.
Yeah. So, let's talk about some stuff, and we're gonna put a spoiler bomb here. So if we talk about anything. So, Gin is, he keeps on changing his story. He has one story where he's left his family and they died, he had some issues of gambling. and he was a cyclist. And then we find out that's not the case at all, and he's he was in debt, but he was in debt to the Yakuza, and then he was running a bike shop, and we find this all out because basically on the way, sorry, we had a bit of Eric's flatmates. So we basically find this out because our three protagonists save a Yakuza boss, and then they happen to be trying to find this baby's parents, and it's at this place that the Yakuza boss is also going to. And Geen finds out that the Yakuza boss's son is the guy that potentially put him in a lot of debt, and some stuff spills, and we find out more. And then Hana is she was a drag queen singing in a bar, and she basically left this bar with a potential husband at the time, and then he slipped on soap and sadly passed.
Yeah, do you know what? That's actually the second person in anime I've seen die by slipping on soap.
I was trying to guess if that meant something else. Because, you've got to drop the soap, so I thought maybe it was like some other... I even Googled it, I was like, but no, it just means he slipped on soap.
Yeah, the only other character I've seen die this way is one of the characters on Death Parade.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That character slipped on soap after a shower and smashed their head, which also makes me think, wait, why would you keep soap on the ground? That's really dangerous.
Well, when you're in the tub and you drop the soap accidentally, happens.
Oh, I guess. Oh well, that's how the husband died, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and she's fallen on hard times, and so she also, it's sort of, I thought at first maybe she had a drinking or a drug related issue or something like that. That's why she was coughing up blood, or maybe she had like pancreatic cancer or something like that. But no, we find out that she may have something like that. There might be early symptoms of it, but she's full on a hard time. She hasn't really taken care of herself really well, and so she's having obvious getting sick and problems like that. Weirdly enough, Geen doesn't cough up blood. That's the one person you would think, since he's an alcoholic, you'd think he'd be coughing up blood and having other issues, having liver cancer and shit like that. But he is actually relatively, like, other than being shit-faced drunk and being kind of an asshole sometimes, he is relatively healthy compared to some of the other characters.
Yeah, that
I mean, Miyuki is definitely the healthiest, but he's like pretty healthy as well, weirdly enough.
Yeah, that's the only reason Miyuki is as healthy as she is because as they've stated in the movie, she was only homeless for about 6 months.
Yeah, well, we see an obvious difference when we look at her from it was interesting because a lot of the characters actually, I'm not being mean here, but a lot of the characters are kind of fat in this movie, and that surprised me because since I've been to Tokyo, which was kind of interesting watching this movie now, having been there. Like, I could see, they're in Shinjuku because the Metropolitan building is like in the background, and they're like right next to it. So you can tell little things like that, but you could look and be like, they're in the Shinagawa ward. But one major, there was a lot of characters that were big, a lot of characters that were like kind of fat, and that kind of surprised me because I saw like one fat person the entire time I was in Japan. Like, people were very like, weight conscious in Japan. So it kind of surprised me. But the reason I bring that up is if you watch like all the flashback scenes, Miyuki is like a lot fatter, like in those scenes compared to what her weight is now. So clearly she has like lost some weight going homeless.
Yeah,
at least that's what I gathered from like the way they've shown in the flashbacks to showing you now.
Yeah, she thinned out a bit for those 6 months since she left home.
Yeah.
So I guess there does seem to be a major difference when her own diet and her own living style has changed.
So there was, I want to talk about probably one of the funniest moments and one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the fake out, the big fake out where there's a couple. There's one fake out that I had to explain to Eric. There's an older like homeless dude who is like on the street. And it's not Ging. It's another homeless dude, And Geen basically it's like, oh, he's dying. I should, like pay some respect to him, help him out in his last moments, give him a drink because he's got this big thing of alcohol with him. And Geen takes him to like this little these homeless houses, which they have like these tents.
Yeah.
And basically gives him a drink. And there's this moment where Geen is like, he's giving him his drink. He's about to, like, the guy looks like he's about to pass. And then, it seems like, oh, and even you said, I remember, you're like, oh, that was quick. And Geen closes his eyes and he's like, oh, I'm not dead yet. Can I have another drink? And it's like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh, yeah, finally I'm dead now.
Yeah, because the reason I said that is because I thought we'd get more of a interaction with the old guy then. Yeah. So when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's all we're getting. Oh, never mind, we don't.
Yeah. So these characters, they face quite a bit of challenges and stuff ahead. But it was interesting watching this movie with what I know about having been to Tokyo and stuff. Now there is actually a bit of a homeless situation there. Like, even I saw it a bit when I was there. So that's like, I wouldn't say it's a con of the movie, but it is kind of sad that that's still an issue now. This movie's from like 2005 or 3 or something, like early 2000s. And this is still an issue. Like, I was in Asakusa and I saw at least 4 homeless people when I was there, just like on the street at night. And then when I was in Ueno, I just like saw a guy out in the street. No one like leaves money out for them, really, from what I could see, or like food or anything. Occasionally you'd see like 1 or 2 guys with maybe like a bit of food or something from a convenience store, but a lot of them were like starving to food and stuff. So I did leave. I didn't know what the culture would be like there with homeless people. So because I was a little worried if I gave them something, they'd just try to give it back to me. Because we even have that problem here. Some homeless people won't like take anything. It's not necessarily a problem. I just, they're trying to be nice, but I'd rather have them have some food or whatever, or money. So I did give one homeless guy, I think, when he was sleeping, I like laid down like a bit of, I laid down like something on top of like 500 yen and something else. So hopefully that's got him some food and something else.
Maybe.
But
hoping nobody else stole it before.
No, Japan's not that type of culture, thankfully. You have to sort of worry about that thing. What I was worried about is in Japan, if you do just leave money like on a bench or something, someone will see you do that and they will like pick it up and try to give it to you. So I was worried someone, like the homeless guy, wouldn't take it as a donation and would like try and find me and be like, you left your $500 note here, or $500 coin, and I'd be like, no, that's for you, But it was quite sad to see, watching the movie and realizing like, that's still an issue. But also interesting watching this movie. I was watching it with Eric, and there was a couple of times where I was like didn't see that in Tokyo. I saw this more in Osaka, but there was times I was watching, I was like, oh, I know what that is now. Oh, I know what this is like now.
Yeah, I heard that a lot. Like, you just pointed out, oh, I know where the this homeless shelter is, or oh, I know, I've been down the street before.
Oh, yeah. There was stuff like that, but there was a thing like.
And my personal favorite, that's the whorehouse I went to for one night.
No, I didn't go to a whorehouse. So let me explain this.
Yes, explain what you meant by a whorehouse. Degenerate.
I did walk down those streets.
Here we go.
But I didn't consume anything. No.
Liar.
I didn't. I can tell you I didn't. I have walked down. It's not that hard to find freaking love districts or like red light, if you want to call them that. It's not that hard. Like, I walked down plenty of streets where there was girls on each side of the road and other scary looking guys, and they'll be like having people out, like trying to get people to come in. None of them were like that. I think they're a little bit afraid of actually getting foreigners in some of those places, because they would just look at me and be like, why are you looking at me? Don't look at me, like, sort of thing. So I like didn't look, and I was walking down one street, like one of those streets, and I was trying to find the train station, and I was almost going to ask one of them, and I almost did turn to one, and I saw one of them like kind of like get a bit scared as I was like almost going to walk over. Thankfully, I looked again, toward in front of me, and I saw the train station's only a couple meters in front of me. So I just kept on walking. I only got approached once by one person who was trying to sell something, sex wise. That was one lady outside a net cafe who was like, massage. I give you a massage, special massage. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Come on. I give you special massage. You can choose. You want happy ending or you want really happy ending?
Don't be racist. Don't get too fucking all that.
What do you mean? That happens.
No. Come on, man.
Wow.
That was a little much, but no. Also, Japan has a weird rule with sex trafficking where it's it's not illegal unless you come. I'm sorry if that's a little dirty, Zanny, but that's what the rule is. So they can technically give you a hand job, but if you come, then it's illegal. And that just sounds like the worst case of blue balls ever. So no thanks.
Okay.
But there was a point where we were watching the movie, and the reason I didn't mention whorehouse, but I meant a drag bar. That's what I meant when I, that's what I actually meant. Maybe I phrased it wrong when I said it to you, but what I meant is because Eric was watching the movie, and there's this point where an angel turns up when one of the characters has been beaten up. And Eric thought the lady was selling drugs.
Yeah, because she said, "Would you like my magic or would you like an ambulance?" I'm like, "Are you selling him drugs?" And somehow I managed to associate magic with drugs, which I feel could be.
Well, what's actually going on? So I haven't seen this that direct. That's a very direct approach of what they do, but when I was in Osaka, I was walking down the street, and there was this one drag queen who was just sitting out there on a stool in the middle of the road with a blonde wig on. Would have been a 45-year-old drag queen, and she was just sitting out there massive beard, and she was just hairy as legs, and she was just sitting out there singing. Not singing, lip syncing to kind of the sort of songs we were hearing in the movie where we find out that Hana was sort of a singer. She actually sang, but she would be singing these old school sort of Japanese songs. There's a term for it, but I can't remember. They're kind of mixture of kind of country and pop music with traditional Japanese style music. But basically this drag king was sitting out there, and they basically have this sign, and they're trying to get people to come in, and they'll usually talk to people on the street, or they'll just stand there, and if someone approaches them, they'll say, "Oh, good bar up here, come, there's a bar up here, come up here, you should come visit." And I saw this guy a lot because I got lost in Osaka. It was 12 at night. I missed the last train. It was 12 or 1 or something like that. It was the last train had gone. So I was looking around for places, and I couldn't, took me ages. I couldn't get any place to stay at. And so I kept on having to walk down that same street over and over again. And I kept on seeing the guy, and eventually the guy, the drag queen looked over at me, and he was just "Hey, you're right." I was just "Yeah, I'm fine." So that was So when I was watching this movie, I was like, "Oh, no, I know what that is. That's it's a drag queen going out to get customers. That's why they're in the angel outfit. That's why they're in the wand. That's what I got from it. And basically, they I don't think that's weird. He asked for an ambulance, and I guess he didn't get an ambulance. They just patched him up and put him in the drag place, and yeah,
that was a pretty fun scene to watch as well, because you do get to see, Hana's background story as well.
Yeah,
that one exactly how she came about to being homeless.
Yeah, and it seemed like she had a relatively good life. She had a
that's the strange part. It was how this kind of, I think the kind of thing that Hana did happens quite a bit. Just throw a drink at another person and there's that, and then a few words exchanged and a fight, and
Yeah.
sometimes it can get resolved quite easily. I'm rather surprised that situation really led her to being homeless. I mean, yeah, I'm not exactly sure, what the complete circumstances behind it, but
So I think we've talked a lot about the pros already. We've talked about like the great sense of humor, some of the jokes we like. I think the fact that it's like it can be quite serious, but it's not taking itself too serious is quite cool as well. But what are some cons? What are some things like we maybe didn't like? Some things that were maybe
probably the biggest one is the two unresolved plot holes I remember, which is the lottery ticket that was apparently in Gin's possession that would have allowed him to have 200 million yen.
Oh, okay.
And the other one is Miyuki's relationship with her father. Those are the two big
I think they're
plot
left
holes.
open-ended, and I think the implications are there, like that she's going to make up with her dad, and that the lotto ticket is going to be the thing that he's going to give to his daughter for like her wedding. That was my that was what I was getting from watching it. Mm-hmm. Sadly, we won't get like any more of this because Satoshi Kon has passed away, obviously, a couple of years ago. So
yeah. Would have been nice to at least have seen some special, deleted scene or a special ending where we can see some of these resolutions actually happen. But oh well, I guess this is just as good as any other ending.
Yeah. So for me, there were. So I've already mentioned one of the. It's not really a con, but it's just kind of sad the fact that there's still a bit of a homeless problem, and having that just been reminded of that was kind of sad. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I was a little surprised about. So in Miyuki's case, I get where she would get money from because she probably still had a bit of money left on her, maybe from when she was with her folks.
Yeah.
I don't get how Hana and Gin have money. I have no idea how they've got. Maybe they're on some sort of wage subsidy thing, but I don't necessarily know how they got money.
I wouldn't imagine that could be the case with Japan. I'm not sure if they have those kind of social
I don't know
welfare options.
Yeah. I've watched one movie about unemployment, and all I found on that movie was it didn't seem like they necessarily got like a grant for a lot of money or anything. What it seemed like is they had like a free truck for food and stuff for homeless people. But it wasn't really like the movie didn't really seem to imply that. I think they got money, but they didn't really get like enough to support like a whole family or something like that. And then they would like find them jobs, but the movie I watched was like about a guy who was like a businessman, and he got like fired from his job because they were it was just something I think as simple as like they were just laying off people because they needed to make way for new people or something or budget cuts. And so he got laid off, and then he basically, like near the end of the movie, had to become a like a janitor type thing. Which that's sort of what I think maybe happens in these sorts of homeless situations. Maybe like they can go. It seemed like in this situation, what they implied in the first half of the movie is I think they were like a Christian missionary type thing.
Yeah.
Where they're getting food and stuff like that because they're at like a church type of sort of thing. I think for the homeless. And maybe they get a bit of money from that. Like maybe they seem like they get food, but I was just confusing in parts. I was like, how do they afford Bryce? How do they afford this? How do they afford that?
Donations.
There was parts where it was like, yeah, it makes sense that, but that taxi cab, Hana paid a lot of money to that taxi cab guy. That was like 500 yen or so, or 5,000 yen or something. Like it was a lot of money.
Oh no! By the end of at one point we had the number 12,550 yen.
Yeah,
which seems to be $125.
Yeah,
potentially New Zealand.
Yeah,
or American. One of those.
So there were times where I was like, how the hell did she have that amount of money? Like there was times like.
Oh,
that.
she didn't. She flirted her way out of that amount.
Oh yeah, yeah. It still wasn't enough, but I was still surprised, like that she had that money. So there was times like that where. So I guess that for me, I would also say that maybe like some of the things that Ging says may be offensive to some people. You know, he does say some slurs. He's not very nice to Hana and some of the other characters. It is kind of funny though a couple times to see them like bicker and fight, and it's kind of realistic in that way. And I'm surprised, Eric, there was one part where I thought it would be a con for you. It's not a con for me because I've seen it done before. But I know Eric was getting a little irritated in one scene where there's a Portuguese guy that kidnaps one of the girls, Miyuki.
He was Latino, wasn't he?
I'm pretty sure he's Portuguese. I think they even said that on the thing. And I'm pretty sure he was speaking Portuguese as well. But they basically kidnap Miyuki, and for the whole scene, there's no subtitles for any of the dialogue for the Portuguese couple, because we meet his wife as well. And I remember you were like, I need subtitles. You were just confused. I remember
Yeah, I was like, please, I can only understand one language at a time.
I kind of liked it though, because not many movies do this. I've seen one movie that did it. I think it's called Mysterious Train. Either that or my subtitles didn't work when I watched the movie. But I remember kind of liking that it wasn't subtitled, because I think sometimes when you do that, it adds a bit more. You have to try and guess with like tone and with other things like what's going on in the scene.
Yeah.
And I also like how Miyuki connects with this mother, not through necessarily like they managed to break through the language barrier in kind of a realistic and interesting way. Like I kind of like that.
I actually like the way they did it. It seemed pretty seemed like the easiest way to go about it, really.
And there was one interesting scene where Hana comes back and scares Miyuki a bit, and then they're taking the baby, and there's Eric asked me, why are you laughing? And there was just a scene where this Portuguese woman, I don't know exactly what she says, but just from the tone and the way she's talking, I just instantly thought, she's looking at Hana like, wait, that's the mum? Because like she's looking at it and she's talking, and it's not necessarily derogatory, but you can tell it's kind of like a little bit of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the movie.
So did I. It was
really glad
great.
we reviewed it. So, and this has been yeah. So Eric, what did you think? Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I definitely like to have seen maybe another one like this. Because it was such a nice movie. The animation, the story writing, and even despite the couple of plot holes that were involved at the end of the movie, I think it was a really, really good movie to watch, and I was glad I enjoyed it. I'll probably try and get my own DVD copy of this and just...
Yeah, this is Eric's first time watching it, and this was my fourth time watching it.
Holy wow.
And we watched, I want to also mention this, we watched this, I know there is a new dub of this they recently did a new dub where they actually got someone who is trans to play Hana for the dub, for the new one they've done. I haven't heard it yet. I've only heard little bits and pieces of it. I liked the new dub voice they've got for Ging. I think that's a good voice. It sounds like an actual, like they've got the right husk that I think would be in his voice. But I think Eric would agree with me on this. I think the voice acting is really fucking good in this movie.
I think
the Japanese voice cast is really good.
I think Miyuki's one was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
It just kind of, because
I just think Hana does a brilliant job. Like the guy playing the role was able to go from like all the crazy, manic, like over the top sort of like silly levels of comedy to being like completely serious as well and doing it perfectly.
Miyuki's one actually tripped me up a bit because her voice at first kind of made her sound like just like a young adult, but you know, as we kind of look on, we realize, oh, she's actually a young teenager. But yeah, it kind of threw me off a bit. Also, the other bit of voice acting that threw me off was the daughter of Gin, who, as Connor pointed out, was voiced by
Mamiko Noto, who's also the voice of Ai Enma. She has such a distinct voice.
It is distinct, and I picked it up pretty easily, just from at least one sentence. It was a really good. It was really good to hear something like that.
She does a good job.
Oh, that was actually good.
I think Akio Otsuka's also in there. I might be wrong as the doctor.
Oh, okay.
Which would be, I hope that is him. If that is him, that would be funny because he's played Blackjack. So that would be kind of funny. So yeah, that's our review of Tokyo Godfathers. And guys, when we come back, we'll have a new schedule and a bunch of new stuff for you guys in the next year.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we'll catch you guys the new year, and in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram at insertconnorhair, and you can also check out our YouTube page, Alternating with Eric, and
of course follow our Spotify and our Facebook, which is also named Alternating with Eric.
Yep.
Both of them. So keep up with all of those,
and that's where all the episodes usually go first on the Spotify. So yeah, most of our stuff is audio based. If our Let's Plays are, of course, on YouTube, maybe on Twitch at some point, I don't know. We do have like one episode that's an in-person one. We may do that in the future at some point. And we might do it. We keep on saying we've got a drinking video that's going to be up, like a drinking challenge thing. It may or may not be up at some point. We'll see. But from me and Eric, have a Merry Christmas. Catch you guys later.
See ya.